And
You there?
hello and welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Re-Watch-Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show's a production of the Something Else Podcast Network, and it is episode number 065 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from April 24th, 1993, taped April 19th, 1993, at the Knox Central High School in Barberville, Kentucky. My name is Arya, and joining me is the dirty white boy to my Mr. Ron Wright. It's Trae. Trae, how are you doing today?
What's happening? Still here. All right.
That's good to hear. So this show could be subtitled "Technical Difficulties" because
Yeah.
this is the second time we've attempted to start the show, and this time we just took a pause to do one of those famous router resets that I got to do, and then I forgot to share audio. So, in case you're wondering why you heard Trey in the middle of the Smoky Mountain theme song, that's why, because he didn't
I was
hear it.
confused. I was
Yes.
confused.
But yeah, so while during my long-winded introduction, I shared audio, so that should not be an issue moving forward on this episode.
Yeah.
Now,
So
moving.
we had to on the other show this week, we had to kind of speed run it, but I promise today we are back on our bullshit.
Even though I sent Trey a message earlier today saying, "Hey, can we limit this today to around 90 minutes or so?" We're back on our
I made no
bullshit.
promises. I
Uh,
made
when,
no promises.
when I cut him off at 9:48 Eastern Time, we'll know why. This will be Halloween Havoc, where, just in the middle of him talking, we fade to black.
I'll just record my own like 20-minute ramble and then we'll have to air it in the middle of the next podcast.
Yes, apologize, say that it wasn't a ratings grab. And then, like, in the middle of a Tim Horner match next week, be like, okay, we promised we would tell you Trey's thoughts on Kevin Sullivan versus the Nightstalker. Let's go to that right now.
Kevin Sullivan and the Nightstalker, not as good as that DDP Goldberg match.
And there you go, the segment that you missed by editing it out this week. All righty. So standard disclaimer, in case it's the first time you've ever listened to this show, what we do here, it is really quite simple. We watch every single episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, beginning with episode number 1 on February 1st, 1992, and we go all the way to episode number 200 on November 26th, 1995. We talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the so-so, the all right, the amazing, the tremendous, the out of this world, the unbelievable, the unforgettable, the unremarkable, the one of a kind, the stuff you'll remember forever, the stuff you've already forgotten, and everything in between. We watch some matches, listen to some promos, and talk about some angles, and just have some fun talking about some old school wrestling for around an hour. And then at the end of the show, I tell you what else is happening in the world of wrestling, because I can tell you April 24th, 1993 until I'm blue in the face, but this gives you some context to where you may say, oh, I remember that. Is that happening now? And I say, yes, yes, it is. And exhale.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what's happening this week in the wide, wide world of professional wrestling. Always, I never look anything up, so like I'm always I learn when the same thing that our listener does. I learn at the same time our listener learns.
Actually, weirdly enough, you should already know one of the things that's happened this week because, you've been watching WCW Saturday Night.
I have not gotten. I'm a little behind.
You son of a
little behind,
bitch!
yeah, little behind on the '93. You know, it's
Are,
G1 season,
I'll say,
and
are
then
you
like
Are you gonna sit?
I'm gonna continue to use that as an excuse for the next month that it's G1 season, and also just like life. And then every now and then, like I get a little burnt out, and I need to watch something that isn't wrestling. So,
Wait,
I'm just a little, yeah,
wait.
because
Ti-
there's Corner Gas and there's
ti-
Ghosts and
time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. Time out. Are you telling me that there is stuff on TV that isn't pro wrestling?
most of it actually.
That's not possible. There's pro wrestling on TV like every day.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of shit on TV.
Huh. That is interesting. I like your theory and would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
We should do a one of these days. We should do like a Corner Gas retrospective podcast.
One of these weeks when Peacock doesn't have an episode of Mid South or World Class up, while we're trying to stay in tune with that week. Hey, the best of episodes are coming up in a few months. We'll review the Corner Gas Christmas episode, on that then.
Something else, Jackass edition.
Jackass. The problem though is you'd have people tuning in because they think we're talking about Jackass, the TV show.
Yeah.
And I can
I
tell
gotta get you to watch Ghosts.
Well, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, we will never discuss Steve O or Johnny Knoxville or anybody else on that show ever on this show.
We're never going to talk about the segment where they wouldn't sell, so Umaga just beat the fuck out of them.
See, that's okay to talk about because it has a wrestling context.
Umaga was great.
Yes, he was. It's too bad shit happened.
Yeah. It's crazy. Dude had like legitimately one of the 5 best matches of John Cena's career. Maybe even like higher than top 5, maybe top 3, maybe top 1.
Oh yeah, I like sitting here right now, like, and I'm sure if I had more time than 30 seconds to think about it, I could not tell you, 5 better John Cena matches. And for all the crap Cena gets, he had a fantastic 2007 until he got injured.
Yeah. There's like, as far as best like Cena matches that might be better than the Rumble match with Umaga, like the Punk match in Chicago, and then that may be it.
Yeah, that is probably it. Although we're probably forgetting like some random match that happened at some point when he wrestled the Ryback or something. No, none of his matches with the Ryback were that good.
No.
And I'm not blaming John Cena for any bad matches with the Ryback.
Dumb as fuck.
Yes, dumb AF. Well, speaking of things that are not dumb AF, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. April 24th, episode 65. Let's go to the intro here with Bob Caudle and Dutch Mantel, who are going to tell you all about all the interviews that are going to happen on this week's show.
Welcome to another exciting action-packed hour of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Professional wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. Hi, wrestling fans. I'm Bob Caudle, along with my partner, Dirty Dutch Mantel. And we got a great hour in store for all you wrestling fans this week. We're going to see in action Tim Horner, the Dirty White Boy, is going to be here. We're going to hear from Jim Cornette, the Heavenly Bodies, as well as our new champion, Tracy Smothers, our new Smoky Mountain champion. We're going to take a look at some of the wild goings-on that occurred in Knoxville. What a wild night we had there. We're going to hear some news on this year's Volunteer Slam, which is going to be coming up on May 9th. Now, what about our big main event, Dutch?
Okay, a big main event today on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Fans, it won't cost you one single dime to see this. It's teacher versus pupil. Of course, the master, Kevin Sullivan, taking on his disciple, the Nightstalker, right here on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Of course, my special guest today on Down and Dirty, Wild-Eyed Southern Boy, Tracy Smothers, and White Lightning, Tim Horner today, my special guest on Down and Dirty.
All right, now what about our Beat the Champ match, Dutch? We got to draw for that.
People are, wrestlers are standing by breathlessly awaiting their name to be drawn out of the hat. I'm going to pull a name out here, and the name is Bobby Blaze will be taking on Bobby Eaton today in the Beat the Champ tournament right here on Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
All right, fans, we're ready with the action. So right now, let's go to the ring.
Bobby Blaze.
Who's Bobby Blaze? Bobby Blaze is actually, and I don't think he sticks around at this point, but Bobby Blaze actually has a nice little run in Smoky Mountain over the next few years, and is actually the author of a pretty good book called Pin Me, Pay Me. So that's who Bobby Blaze is. But yeah.
I'm gonna add that to my my wish list.
I'm pretty sure it's available on Kindle Unlimited. But today we're gonna have a whole bunch of promos. Plus, we're gonna see how Kevin Sullivan will get disqualified this week in his match against the Nightstalker. And of all the ways we've seen Kevin Sullivan get disqualified, this is certainly a shitty one. We'll get to that here at the end.
By the way, Dutch's cue cards this week. The first one read "Worship Me Now," and the second one read "Avoid the Rush."
Oh, I thought he was saying "Avoid the Roosh," like the luchador was gonna come out after him.
Why would you want to avoid Roosh? Roosh is awesome.
If he's diving at you, I mean, I don't want to be dived on.
Well, that's not very professional. You got to catch him.
Unless he's my partner, then kayfabe-wise, why is he diving on me?
You trained for what, 2 days? You should know these things.
Cindy and I discussed this on a TNA show that's going to air in a month. But one of my pet peeves is, I love dive sequences. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we need to eliminate dive sequences or whatever.
Yeah.
But I hate the stand there and catch your partner dives. Like, why?
Yes.
Like, why are you diving on your partner? Like, I
but
get it. Like, we all know wrestling's fake. We all know you want more bodies out there to catch the guy risking his life jumping at everybody. However, no. Like, there's 5 other people. They can catch your partner.
But when something is so regularly done poorly, that lets you really appreciate it when it's done well. Like when somebody hitting a dive onto somebody looks like authentic and organic, that's so fucking cool.
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right. So we then go to the ring for our first match. Oh, by the way, Bob Eaton versus Bobby Blaze is the Beat the Champ match. And we're going to have news on Volunteer Slam 93, which in some ways is the 1-year anniversary show of Smoky Mountain, because that was the first big show last year when they crowned the first Smoky Mountain champion. And do you know who the first Smoky Mountain champion was, Trey?
Brian Lee, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And do you know how he won the final match against Paul Orndorff?
Pinfall or submission?
He won by disqualification.
What the fuck? I don't know. I guess I've always been kind of like in a company where they have the titles can't change hands on a DQ rule. Should you be able to win a vacant championship by DQ?
Well, this company believes you can. And speaking of things that this company believes you can do, thunder rolls and the lightning strikes.
God damn it.
Tim Horner versus the Avenger. And Trey, exactly how long did it take you to realize who the Avenger was?
It was the same as who the Avenger was last time, right?
No, this is the debut of the Avenger.
Oh, is this a different Avenger?
Yes. I don't remember there being an Avenger before.
No, Chris Candido was the Avenger like last week and the week before.
I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah, we talked about it. Hold on.
I know we talked about Candido coming in, but I don't remember Candido actually being on here.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, the Rock and Roll Express beat the Avenger and Mike Sampson.
I don't remember it, so that didn't happen.
3 weeks ago, I'm sorry.
I don't remember that, so that didn't happen.
April 3rd. Taped March 22nd at the Hasey High School in Hasey, Virginia.
Apparently you don't understand that if I didn't remember it happening, That means it didn't happen.
I synced it, Arya. I synced it with my own eye holes. Ricky Morton pinned the Avenger with a double drop kick. I rated it 2 stars.
Well, yeah, it's fucking Chris Candido, everybody. And
Chris Candido's great.
yes, it's rude of me to say fucking Chris Candido. But by the way, speaking of new things, you also have new on-screen graphics. Ooh,
I didn't even notice.
Well, now it's not just your name randomly appearing in the middle of the screen. Now it's your name appearing in the middle of the screen with a blue bar behind it.
Oh, we shitting in hot cotton now.
Oh, yeah. Horner throws his foam lightning bolt to the crowd, and there is zero fight amongst the fans to try to get it. It pretty much landed in somebody's lap.
That poor person.
Bob and Dutch spend most of the match not talking about the match. Dutch at one point says Horner is, and I quote, very popular for his ability, which is quite the backhanded compliment. We are also going to hear today from the Rock and Roll Express, and to quote Bob Caudle, golly gee, they are mad after Ricky Morton was tarred and feathered last week. And I hope you're sitting down for this. We might have to get Legal Eagle on the phone here. Someone has filed a lawsuit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and we're going to find out after this match.
We might have to call Stephen P. New.
Stephen P. New.
I knew that before I knew that it was like the Smoky Mountain entrance music. So now that's all I can think about when I hear it.
Which is amazing because it's actually the world-class entrance music.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's why. That's why I don't know things, because I'm stupid.
I guess, to be fair, I wasn't sharing audio, so you may not remember what the Smoky Mountain theme song sounds like.
I knew it was one of them.
Anyway, that is not the Smoky Mountain theme song. But Horner's job is to teach Avenger how to work Southern style. And of course, Horner wins with a natural bridge. And what was a good match? I mean, like we always say, Horner is a good wrestler as long as you keep the microphone out of his face. But okay.
Yeah, completely fine. I'm ready to see a better use of Chris Candido.
It's coming. Believe me.
Yeah.
Well, a very unusual situation has come up in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Let's go right now to Bob Caudle with a young lady who is not in jail, at least in 1993. And what she may have been arrested during the promo. But let's go to Bob Caudle right now.
Very unusual situation has come up in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. This young lady is Tammy Fytch. Now, the Smoky Mountain Wrestling attorneys have advised us to let her have her say here on the program. Tammy?
My name is Tammy Fytch. Of the New England Fytches, I'm sure you've heard of us.
No, I don't think so.
My family's very well connected. I can't believe you haven't heard. At any rate, the reason I'm here today is because I have filed a sexual discrimination lawsuit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Because since this promotion began, it hasn't employed a woman in any prominent position. No women managers, announcers, promoters, and especially commissioners.
And you want to change that?
I am currently enrolled in Wellesley College, the same school that my personal idol, Hillary Clinton, attended. Mrs. Clinton has proven that a woman can do anything she wants, and I have decided to make a difference in this organization by becoming the first woman to hold a prominent position.
Well, now, you mentioned announcing, managing, promoting. Which do you want to do?
Well, I can do all, but I'll probably start with managing, if I can find someone suitable.
Why did you choose pro wrestling, Tammy?
Well, big men who aren't too bright amuse me. So after I can prove that I can master managing, I'll move on to announcing, promoting, maybe even commissioner. Bob Armstrong won't be around for long.
All right, fans, there you have it. We'll certainly have to follow this situation. And we'll be back. We'll have more right after this.
All right. So, Trae, I got to ask you, you live in Texas. In 2024, if someone came out in a Southern territory or Southern wrestling company and said that their personal idol was Hillary Clinton, would that get them more or less heat than it gets Tammy Fytch here in 1993?
More, I think. It's a little strange for me because I fully believe, and I saw it here. Like, by the way, I just want to say, fucking great character for this territory. I'm sorry, pardon my language. A rich Yankee bitch who idolizes Hillary Clinton. Fucking perfect heel territory or heel character for an East Tennessee territory in the early 90s. But see, here's the thing. I grew up in Arkansas where we liked the Clintons, in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
We liked the Clintons until like 2008, I think. That's what it felt like to me. We didn't start hating the Clintons until until Obama came along and everybody just, everybody went crazy because of the racism, and they're just so any Democrat just kind of gets the blowback of against white supremacy.
I just love that Obama becoming president made the state turn on the Clintons. I get it, but I just it just makes me laugh.
I don't ever remember, like, and again, this is in Arkansas, but I don't remember anybody being particularly anti the Clintons until then.
Interesting. I will say this is Tennessee, the same state that Al Gore was senator out of, and also the same state that Al Gore did not win in 2000 that helped lead to the George W. Bush presidency. But so Tammy Fytch, in case you didn't put two and two together, is, yes, in fact, it is Tammy Sytch.
Really?
There is one person out there who's going, I don't know who that is. Why don't you tell me? And so I had to let them know. But Tammy Sytch, let me see how old she is. Like, she can't be like more than like 19 years old at this point.
Yeah, she's young. She's probably like 20.
Yeah, she's 20. December 7th, 1972. Either I'm a stalker or I Googled it. Or both.
At the risk of being problematic, she was very attractive back then.
Oh yeah. She was a beautiful woman, and but so she's from the New England Fytches, and I gotta say, as a New Englander, I don't know who they are either. But
that was funny because Bob Caudle, like, that was such just an old Southern man. Like, no, never fucking heard of you. That was a good. Bob Caudle is perfect at what he does here.
But he was so polite about it too,
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I guess Pam Lawson isn't with the company yet because she was the one female in the company for the longest time.
Well, that Tammy Fytch broke down those doors for Pam Lawson.
Tim Horner was going into Jim's office, like, hey, can we bring in Pam now? God damn!
Tim Horner broke Pam Lawson into the business.
His claim to fame. This is the start of the Tammy Fytch era, and as we've noted, anytime anyone ever threatens a lawsuit in this company, things happen. So if you ever want to get into wrestling, just threaten a lawsuit against the promoter, and you'll get in. No questions asked.
I feel like this the kayfabe version of the Smoky Mountain office is very incompetently run.
Well, it's Bullet Bob with his secretary who just signs off on everything without reading it. Sandy.
That's the thing. Are we sure it's not Pam? It's somebody fucking incompetent.
It might be Pam. Maybe that's how she became head of syndication sales or head of advertising or whatever, because she just kept signing shit to pay Kevin Sullivan's medical bills and all that other shit that got signed off on. and signed Bobby Eaton to a contract.
Or didn't just, or no, Bob Armstrong assumed she had signed Bobby Eaton to a contract.
She was so stupid she could not sign Bobby Eaton to a contract.
Was she stupid, or was Bob Armstrong stupid for not realizing that he, as the commissioner, would be responsible for that kind of thing?
For over 2 months.
Yeah,
Because
well,
Eaton's been here since the end of February.
They had to do legal research, and research moved at a slower pace before the internet was common. You remember life before the internet when we just didn't know shit?
I do, actually. And I remember even when the internet was a thing, like, I think the first time I ever went on the internet was like 2001. So it's like, it was not as readily available, even when it came out.
Granted, some people today have access to all the information in the world and still don't know anything.
Ain't that the truth? So from here, by the way, we go to video of last week in Knoxville, where they're having a three-way match with the Heavenly Bodies, Stud Stable, and Rock and Roll Express. Long story short, Rock and Roll won, which then led to Bob Eaton running in with a ladder. Primetime Brian Lee ran in to help, followed by Killer Kyle, Kevin Sullivan, and finally some guy who may have been Bobby Blaze. But and eventually everyone just peels off to the back. And that leads to a commercial which announces the Rage in a Cage at Volunteer Slam 93. Heavenly Bodies, Killer Kyle, Kevin Sullivan, and Taz versus the Rock and Roll Express, Primetime Brian Lee, and the Stud Stable. Basically, it's war games where you win with either submission or handcuffing the other team to the cage.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that the whole relationship between Smoky Mountain and WCW didn't work out, because in another universe, they could have gotten Steve Regal to come in and announce Rage in the Cage.
Rage in the Cage. Yeah, that sucks.
It tickled me the first time that they did Blood and Guts, that Eddie Kingston had William Regal say it.
Of course. Yeah.
And funnily enough, as you're listening to this year's Blood and Guts is in fact this week, and by the time this airs, it will have been tomorrow. Yesterday, actually. Yeah, that's what I meant. The reverse tomorrow.
Reverse tomorrow, or as most people know it, yesterday. By the way, instead of having a coin flip, they have 5 what they call status matches as the undercard. It's Dr. Tom versus Ricky Morton, Killer Kyle versus Robert Fuller, Robert Gibson versus Taz, Kevin Sullivan versus Jimmy Golden, and Stan Lane versus Primetime Brian Lee. And whatever team wins 3 out of 5 gets the advantage in Rage in the Cage.
See, they should do it like where you come in like in order of the time that you won in, or if you lose, like in order of the time that you lost in. And that way you could get something ridiculous, like you could have like if you did it right, you could have a 5-on-1 heels advantage. Mm-hmm. But then the poor because you can't win until everybody's in, that poor babyface would just have to get massacred until he got saved 4 times. And
it's Ricky Morton.
Definitely Ricky Morton. It's 100% Ricky Morton.
Yeah. So from here they show a replay of Ricky Morton being tarred and feathered, and then we're going to go to a Bullet Bob and Rock and Roll Express promo, where we're going to plug another big match coming up. Let's go to them now.
All right, Rick, and that's what happened last week.
Well, the reason I want everybody to watch why this happened is because this is the last time, Jimmy Cornette, you're ever going to come out here and embarrass the Rock and Roll Express again. You see... All right. But you see, Jimmy Cornette, the special match that we asked for in Johnson City on May the 15th is the loser of the fall must leave Smoky Mountain Wrestling forever.
Whoa. That's exactly right. And let me say this, when he says forever, I mean just that. no lawyers, no litigation, no coming back with a mask. The loser of that fall on May the 15th in Johnson City will leave forever and a day. He will never be back. Now, as commissioner, I hate to lose either one of these teams because they're both rated in the top 5 in the world, as you know. But as a man, I understand where you guys coming from. You can have it.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here they come. Oh.
You can't do that. You can't do that to us. You don't have a right to do that. You don't have a right to do something like that. What is he trying to do to us? You can't do that to nobody, man. Let me tell you something right now, Bob Armstrong. I'm sick of you. I see I don't care what that says. I don't care what that says. We ain't going.
On May 15th, somebody's going to leave Johnson City on May 15th, and personally, I don't care if it's either of the 3 of you, but somebody's gone on May 15th in Johnson City.
Let me tell you something, and let me tell you two punks something. If you want a war, brother, you got it. Because one way or another, we're going to come out on top of this thing, and that Bob Armstrong, oh, God, if it comes down to us or them, they ain't going to make it.
All right, fans, you've heard.
You gotta love Jim Cornette losing his shit, but did you notice Bullet Bob was completely biased there?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't say, "Hey, I don't care which of the 4 of you leave." He said he doesn't care which of the 3 of you, implying the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette. So the commissioner is heavily biased against one of the teams.
Blatant favoritism. You know what? So we often allude to things that are coming and don't really want to say it explicitly, but we've alluded to it enough. The big angle that's about to happen. I'm really appreciating the build to it because Cornette is getting more and more enraged at Bob Armstrong. The situation is clearly going to boil over soon. And it makes so much sense because when it happens, it's not just for the hell of it. From Cornette's perspective, Bob Armstrong has been fucking with him for over a year, and he's going to cost him Bobby and Stan in quick succession. And at that point, the heels are going to retaliate, and interesting things are going to happen.
Wow, spoiler alert that Stan is going to be gone soon. Not that we haven't talked about it now for, several weeks.
Don Jardine alert, everybody.
Yes, Don Jardine. In case it takes you a second to realize what the hell he just said, take a second. You figure it out? Okay, good. All right. So, yeah, we've got Corny losing his shit for the first time on this episode. And not the last time. But, May 15th in Johnson City. They haven't named it yet, but it's going to be the last tango in Tennessee. Where for the last time, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson are going to wrestle Stan Lane and Dr. Tom Pritchard. One of those 4 men are out of here.
What a shame.
I know. And who knows who it's going to be? Will it be Ricky Morton? Will it be Stan Lane? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yes. We don't know if it's going to be Robert Gibson or if it'll be Stan Lane. Maybe it'll be, Tom Pritchard. Or maybe it'll be Stan Lane. I don't know. All I know is Stan Lane.
You really think it's going to be the guy who's like visibly already checked out in every segment?
No way. Now, believe it or not, the loser of this match, Stan Lane, is not entirely retired. He does do a tour of war at the end of this year. He does some shots in Memphis. He does the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view, that famous one. And then they do the Midnight Express reunion tour in 2005. So it's not quite the end of Stan Lane, but, it's as good as it is.
This is the end of Stan Lane's full-time wrestling career.
Yes. All right. So where the hell were we? Oh, yeah. Bob Eaton, the Beat the Champ TV champion, with Gentleman Jim Cornette in his corner versus Bobby Blaze. Where did they get this ring announcer?
I don't know.
He introduces Corny as Gentleman Jim Cornette. Don't know where the hell that came from, but so Dutch theorizes. What the hell is that the right word? Theorizes. Yes, that is the right word. Dutch theorizes that Bobby Blaze has been sent here on work release from the Kentucky Department of Corrections. While these two exchange holds, Bob and Dutch talk about the loser leaves town match, and then Dutch talks about the stud stable having a team with the rock and rolls that rage in the cage. Eaton wins with a top rope knee drop in what is his 4th title defense. So if he wins again next week, he retires as champion and becomes $5,000 richer.
So now I really want a character that's a prisoner out on work release. That would be fantastic.
You know, speaking of prisoners, why did Nailz continue to wear his jumpsuit? Because it wasn't like he was escaped from prison. He was released. You know?
Why was Nailz the heel when he was aggrieved that he had been abused by the big boss man in prison? And they never even I don't think Big Boss Man ever disputed the claims, but yet somehow the cop was the babyface and Nailz was the heel.
No, Boss Man basically said he deserved it. And then he said that whatever Nailz did, he should be in prison for the rest of his life. And I mean, come on, the guy was in prison for like 7 or 8 years.
You know what? Nailz tried to strangle Vince McMahon one time. That makes him a baby face for life in my eyes.
And then he went.
By the way, Bobby Eaton hit a really cool rope rebound backbreaker in this match that would have made Roderick Strong proud.
It's possible that's where Roderick Strong got the idea for the gimmick.
You know, I thought that young Roderick Strong got a hold of some Smoky Mountain TV tapes and saw that and decided that he was going to become the messiah of the backbreaker.
Yes. Thank you, Bobby Eaton, for giving us Roderick Strong.
I have 2 things that I would like to note about this. Number one, so this is Bobby Eaton's 4th title defense.
Yes.
But he didn't actually win one of them. One of them was like basically a no contest, the one with Tom Pritchard. So I guess you don't have to win, you just have to retain.
Correct. You missed, the original explanation of the Beat the Champ title when it came in January. Basically, the only way to lose it is pinfall or submission. Any other decision, no matter how it goes, is the same as a win for the champion.
Okay, as long as they explain that.
It does lead to the obvious question, and this is always one of those questions that whenever you question how do people think wrestling is real when you could get around with these loopholes? Next week, and I haven't watched next week, so maybe this happens, but I doubt it does. Why not at the very beginning of the match, whomever Bobby Eaton is wrestling, he just kicks them in the penis. He'll get disqualified, but by the rules of Beat the Champ, he gets the $1,000. He gets the $5,000 bonus for winning 5 straight matches, or for retaining for 5 straight matches. Hell, if you don't want to kick the dick of the opponent, punch the referee. Mark Curtis probably deserves it.
Mark Curtis deserves love and happiness and all the good things in life. So the next title defense is the 5th.
Yes.
So win or lose, the next one is his last time in SMW.
Yes.
I'm sad.
It is a winner or loser leaves town match, depending on how it goes.
It's a Bobby Eaton leaves town match.
Yes.
Which is the worst kind of match to have.
I agree. And speaking of Bobby Eaton, let's go to what is technically a Jim Cornette and Bobby Eaton promo, but I don't think Bobby Eaton says 2 words. Let's go to that now.
All right, Dutch, right you are. And Jim Cornette, beautiful Bobby right here. And I tell you, it doesn't matter what happens in his 5th defense due to Commissioner Bob Armstrong and what he's come up with. It's going to be the last time that he's ever in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Due to Commissioner Bob Armstrong, everything's due to Commissioner Bob Armstrong.
Commissioner Bob Armstrong puts us in the rage in the cage, trying to get us all killed. 6 days later, he signs a loser-leave Smoky Mountain Wrestling match. 6 days after a match as dangerous as at the Volunteer Slam, he puts us in a loser-leave Smoky Mountain Wrestling match. Due to Commissioner Bob Armstrong, some legal technicality, beautiful Bobby has been banished from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But I'm going to say this, the banishment's going to be temporary. But the Rock and Roll Express's banishment will be permanent after we get finished with that match. And I'll tell you something else. One more week, brother, and Bobby Eaton gets that $5,000 bonus to add to what he's already won. And since we can't do nothing else about it right now, what we are going to do is take as much of Bob Armstrong and Smoky Mountain Wrestling's money as we possibly can before Bobby goes. And like I said, it's going to be temporary. And I got some other things I'm going to be saying here real soon about the Rage in the Cage and the loser leave Smoky Mountain Wrestling and that no-good, stinking, alcoholic, drunk, broke down, geriatric, over the hill, Commissioner Stinking Fossil, Bob Armstrong.
Oh, fans, with that, we'll be back after this.
All right, so technically Bob Eaton said a couple of words there at the end, but does anyone know what the hell he said? I sure as hell don't. And it's not important, because what is important is Jim Cornette is losing his shit right now.
Yeah, fantastic. Just these promos, he just knocks them out of the park every time.
And it's only going to get better from here, fans. It's only going to get better from here.
I just found out something that I am peeved about.
That
'Cause
Scott
I was
Campione did not last 22 seconds with Dirty White Boy.
Well, partly that Scott Campione apparently doesn't have a cage match profile.
Nope.
But not that. You know what Dirty White Boy's cage match rating is? This offends me.
I didn't look, so I'm going to say 4.3.
4.17.
Wow.
Just disgraceful.
Yeah.
Disgraceful. All these people that are rating fucking TL Hopper that never watched Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It's a trap.
I was gonna say it's probably a bunch of TL Hopper ratings. Is that? I'm assuming that's what it is.
Yeah, I assume. I'm not fucking reading cage match reviews.
That would make for an interesting show. Is Dirty White Boy still alive? We can have him on to read his cage match reviews to him, and
oh man,
have him cut promos.
I'd give my middle nut to get Dirty White Boy on the show.
Wow, your middle nut.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Giant Fan 1980 wrote on May 20th, 2023, 3.0, a big fish in a small pond in Smoky with an E Mountain Wrestling. Came to the WWF and turned into a plumber and later the heel manager for the heel Godwinins up until they beat the snot out of him for costing them the tag belts, and then he disappeared. Another big league jobber, but a main eventer out in the Boonies promotions.
I see. I think like if you're a big fish in a small pond, like if you're a big star in a small territory, I'm not saying what it ranks exactly, but I think that rates more than a 3.
Apparently not. Boris the Menace wrote on July 23rd, 2013, 2.0. Never seen a match of his that I enjoyed, but he was a great plumber.
You think that what was that name? Boris what?
Boris the Menace.
You think Boris the Menace is Boris Zirkov?
I don't doubt it for 1 minute here. Let me see here.
So yeah,
this one's in German, so I'm not gonna read that.
I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and do play-by-play on this match. The Dirty White Boy beat Scott Campione with a punch to the face in 22 seconds.
Yes, that is exactly how it happened. To the point that I had to rewind and start over because I'm like, okay, he loaded his fist or something. He's got like brass knucks or whatever. Nope. He just punched him in the face.
It's funny because I did the same thing because I was confused. But yeah, no, punched him in the face and pinned him. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And I'm like, actually, I watched it 3 times. Because the first time I thought, oh, they're both from New York City because Scott Campione was announced from New York. So I'm like, so he took a dive, like, because they locked up, they went into the ropes, and then he fell down. It's like, oh, he took a dive for his New York brethren. Nope. Then I saw it was a punch. I'm like, okay, so it's a brass knucks or something. Nope. White boy just has suddenly developed the power of the punch.
It takes a good man to beat Scott Campione, but it doesn't take him long.
No. And that might be a loser leaves town match for Scott Campione, too. Much like our Canadian champion from last year, who's the champion from Canada, who beat someone. Newton Steffi. How could I ever forget that name? Newton Steffi was the name of our Canadian champion. Which is a...
I don't know, Gene Kaniski, probably.
Yes. By the way, when you look up Newton Steffi on Google, you get Stephanie Newton, whoever the hell that is.
Is she related to Fig Newtons?
Probably. Yeah, that wasn't helpful either. All right. So moving on from Newton Steffi, who I've been obsessed over for the last year because he was on the fucking show in September. Let's go to Dirty White Boy, who's going to promote a match that we didn't know was even happening until it got promoted right here.
Less than 10 seconds. And what is this? What's the white flag that Ron Wright is carrying around here in the wheelchair?
Well, that flag right there represents a match that when you wave that flag, it's all over with. Coward waves the flag match.
Is he going to wave the flag when Tracy Smothers gets you down and is pounding you? Is that what he's going to do?
Apparently you don't understand this man's track record. He is one of the lowest forms of human being walking the earth. He is a snake in the grass. He is out and out, no good friend. That's the reason I love the man so much. But now, on the other hand, I understand that Tracy Smothers in his corner is going to have White Lightning Tim Horner.
That's right. That's right.
Well, first of all, it's my understanding that White Lightning Tim Horner and Tracy Smothers are real good friends. Do you honestly think, honestly think for 1 minute that if I bust him upside the head, he won't wave that flag?
Oh, he's not going to. No, he's not going to do it. Says he will not wave the flag.
5 minutes in the ring with me, Tim Horner will be waving that flag so fast, it'll look like Tracy Smothers is in the Indianapolis 500.
He better start getting practice right now to wave it good and high so everybody can see it.
Because you see, it does not matter to this man if they take a McCullough chainsaw and cut my stinking head off. He will not wave the flag. So, Smothers, what are you going to do? You're going to get down in a little bit, and you'll be begging, please, please. And Tim Horner, I guarantee you, will wave the flag.
You won't do it regardless?
No, sir. Regardless, I will not wave the flag.
Isn't he wonderful?
I've got a heart of stone and steel. I will not. That flag will stay right there the duration of the match. Horner will be the one waving the flag with both hands. You just get your ringside seat and watch it, brother.
Yes, well, get out of our way.
All right, fans, some very serious consequences can occur with a match like this.
Okay, so Coward Waves the Flag is one of those matches like with the fucking last man standing matches where it's a guaranteed screw job finish. It's like you are not going to get a clean finish in a Coward Waves the Flag match. It is a guarantee. And I say this not knowing 100% sure what the finish of that match is going to be, but I am 99% sure that it's going to be some sort of screw job.
Of course, Tim Horner is involved in this fucking feud now.
Why Lightning?
I got to tell you, though, I like this feud has taken on a new dimension. It's evolving. First, it was over... burning the Army of Northern Virginia battle flag. Now, they're having a match involving the only Confederate flag that matters. The real Confederate flag, if you will.
Yes, indeed, the white flag. I'm sure that just pissed off somebody listening to this, but oh well.
Good. Fuck you.
Civil War ended 160 years ago. Move on with your fucking life. You lost.
Wait, hold on. I gotta think for a second.
Actually, I lied. It ended 159 years ago. I apologize. I didn't mean to besmirch, all the Southerners out there listening to this.
When did Smoky Mountain end? It was around Thanksgiving 95, right?
As I say in the opening, November 26, 1995.
Trying to think, did Smoky Mountain Wrestling last longer than the Confederacy? It's close. It's really close.
I don't think so. The Civil War was 4 years.
Yeah. 92, 93, yeah.
Yeah.
The first taping was November 91, right?
Either October or November, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 4, 4 to 5. 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think, the Confederacy's got them by about 2 months. Darn.
I'm sorry. The great Southern education, we had to pause for a second while Trae figured out what 65 minus 61 was. Or I guess 95 minus 91. Great Northern education, me being the smartass over here, fucking that up.
I very nearly completed a PhD in Civil War history, right?
That is awesome. And I'm really happy for you.
It's not. It's the worst thing that ever happens to me, and I hate myself every day because I failed at my dreams.
I'm so sorry. You're a loser. You suck. And now
I'm fucking me and Scott Campione.
As your punishment for sucking that much, you're gonna have to listen to Down and Dirty with Dutch with the southern-eyed white boy Tracy Smothers and White Lightning Tim Horner.
God damn.
Welcome to Down and Dirty with Dutch. I'm Dutch Mantell, and you're not. My special guest today on Down and Dirty with Dutch, of course, the newly crowned Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion, the southern-eyed white boy, Tracy
Southern boy.
Tracy Smothers, and of course, White Lightning Tim Horner. Now, gentlemen, I got to tell you, excuse my little lapse there. My tongue got a little bit tied. But let me tell you something. You got a match coming up. It's the Coward Waves the Flag match. Now, the dirty white boy was just out here, and he had a lot of bad things to say about you. But he did say this: no matter what happens to him, Ron Wright will not wave the flag. What do you got to say about that?
First thing I want to say is, it not great to be alive and to be in the South? Huh? Hey, you think wrestling in Smoky Mountain Wrestling is a cakewalk? Look at my face, man. I've been busted up more in the past 6 months than I have in 6 years, but by the same man, the dirty white boy. Hey, I never said you weren't a tough son of a gun, man, but it's a case of mind over matter. I no longer mind, because by God, you don't matter. Hey, white boy, I got all the respect in the world for you, man. You're a tough son of a gun. I faced every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this sport. From Terrible Ted to Ginger the Wrestling Bear, to the Stings, the Ultimate Warriors, the Lex Lugers, and the Steiners. You're the man, but it's Coward Wave the Flag. Ron Wright's in your corner. My buddy White Lightning Tim Horner, and he looks awful good in that hat, is in my corner. Hold on. I'm going to tell you this, son. There is no way it'll be a cold day in July before this old country boy right here waves any flag and gives up in anything. I'm just like all these folks in Barberville, Kentucky, and the millions of people out there. I fought, scratched for everything I've ever got in this world. White Lightning, you're my best friend in the world, man. We've talked about this match right here. You're going to be in my corner. If this guy breaks my arm, you're not going to wave that flag, are you? No. If he breaks my other arm, you ain't gonna wave it, are you? No, sir. If he breaks both legs, my neck, and every joint in my body, you ain't gonna wave it, are you? No, sir. If I'm begging, what happens now? If I'm begging and I'm pleading and I'm double dog daring you to wave that flag, you're not going to do it, are you?
No, sir.
Okay, let me just put something in here, guys. Tim Horner, you're standing here telling me and all the fans in Smoky Mountain that no matter what happens in that match, you're not going to wave. If he's bleeding like a stuck pig, you're not going to wave the flag.
No,
Well, let me ask you this. Why are you not going to wave the flag?
because he told me not to, and I'm not going to.
All right, fans.
Dutch Mantell, I feel tougher than a Dodge truck with mud flaps and spoke wheels. White boy, I'm gonna whoop your butt like your mama should have done a long time ago. Coward waves a flag and you're the coward.
All right, fans, there you heard it. No matter what happens, under no conditions will Tim Horner wave the flag for Tracy Smothers. I have to say one thing. With friends like that, we don't need any enemies.
All right. So we now have a match where White Boy's head could be chainsawed off and Tracy Smothers' arms could be chopped off, and it's not going to end. So it's possible we're going to have some double amputees here after the Volunteer Slam coming up here on May 9th, whatever damn day it is.
Who knows what Tim Horner is going to do with that very long white object that he had in his trunks in this segment.
You know, Tim Horner enjoys playing with long white objects in his pants. Or so.
You think Pam was watching this and that's how the whole thing started?
I think it's probable she was sitting at home watching Smoky Mountain Wrestling and trying to get a new job because she sucked at doing whatever she did for the radio station. And she's like, hey, I know of an office in a bank that me and that guy can have sex in while I get paid.
It's good work if you can get it.
Yeah. And somehow it led to her selling no advertising. I didn't write down where and when it was, so we probably passed it. But did you write down the notes about the hotel we got plugged on this show?
I did.
He even muted himself because he was so excited that I asked him about the hotel.
I'm sorry. It's a force of habit. Whenever I'm about to open up a Firefox window and go off on a tangent, I'll mute it, and it was completely force of habit that I muted it while I was talking. That was very stupid. So yeah, there is still a Holiday Inn in Corbin, Kentucky, but either it is a different building or they readjusted the address system, and I don't know. I guess either one is possible because this Holiday Inn was at 2615 Cumberland Falls Highway. The current one is at 1973 Cumberland Falls Highway.
Interesting.
So the Holiday Inn Express people still doing business in Corbin, Kentucky, but perhaps in a different facility.
And we fully expect a corporate rate or some sort of discount here for plugging your shit on our highly regarded podcasting program.
That's often my go-to when I'm traveling is the
Holiday Inn in Corbin, Kentucky.
A Holiday Inn Express. I used to when I was a young man and had no standards for how I should live, I would do a fucking Econo Lodge or a Red Roof Inn or a Super 8. But ever since I've been with my wife, women have a little bit higher standard of living, so you gotta do a little bit more when you're traveling with your woman. So now I'm a Holiday Inn Express man.
See, I thought you were gonna say when you didn't have any standards, you regularly went to Corbin, Kentucky. Wasn't that where the Dairy Queen incident happened?
It might have been. It was somewhere in Kentucky. I think so. Yeah, I can't remember what town in Kentucky. It was probably Corbin. You think?
Probably.
You think this is where the strange Kentucky people came from?
Oh, I mean, probably. You know, Either Corbin or Barberville, it doesn't matter. It's it's all the same.
We gotta fucking talk about that sometime. Maybe when the thrill seekers get here next year, we gotta talk about strange Kentucky people.
I was gonna say they're not around for a year, so we'll see, I guess. By the way, main event time: Kevin Sullivan versus the Nightstalker. AKA this week's version of How Does Kevin Sullivan Get Disqualified this week? So I should note that Nightstalker basically no-sold everything Sullivan did for the first 3 minutes of this match. Sullivan clotheslines Nightstalker out of the ring, and not only does Nightstalker land on his feet, but he does the Brock Lesnar jump from the floor to the ring apron. They fight into the crowd. The fans did not seem terribly worried about this tiny, crazy man who assaults pudgy Japanese wrestlers with spikes. This was not a fantastic wrestling match, but I doubt anyone was expecting it to be. Nightstalker missed a drop kick of all things, which led to Sullivan getting the heat, and then Sullivan was disqualified. And why was he disqualified?
A new reason, at least. A reason I hadn't seen before.
He was, to quote Bob Caudle, raking something into the eyes. And from
raking something into the eyes, huh?
Yes. And from what I can tell, he did the eye rake that you've seen everybody in every match ever do, but apparently this was a nasty eye rake. This was one that was so bad that Nightstalker had to tape up an entire eyeball when he comes out for a post-match brawl.
Huh. See, I didn't catch all that. I saw the thing later when like Sullivan had the shit all over his mouth. So I'm like, oh, he spit mist on him, and I didn't catch the whole thing that he raked it into his eyes.
No. Also, where the fuck does this black goo come from? Did he run into Jonathan Gresham backstage? And, Gresham did the octopus on him or something? Because he didn't spew any fleeing during the match. And all of a sudden, he comes up for an interview, and he's got black stuff coming out of his mouth.
By the way, we've got one more televised Nightstalker match. He is not long for this territory.
So, okay, technically I was lying. I need to apologize because, we strive for broadcasting excellence. Somewhere along the way during the Kevin Sullivan Nightstalker match towards the finish, in a spot that was, yeah, that's what actually happened. So yeah, I was wrong and yada yada yada. When Sullivan was trying to push Nightstalker back to the ring, he spat goo into his eye. But not only did I miss it, so did Bob Caudle, our venerable ring announcer.
The other thing of note in this match that I don't think I've ever seen before, Kevin Sullivan did a monkey flip.
To the Nightstalker. Brian
To the
Clark.
Nightstalker. To the man who will be Adam Bomb in 2 weeks.
I was going to say, he might already be Adam Bomb at this point. Maybe this is how it happened. Getting spewed in the eye all of a sudden him...
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to look into this.
Quick, get Brian Clark on the phone.
Is he the one that's dead? I can never remember which one of Chronic is dead.
No, Crush is dead.
Okay, R.I.P. Brian Adams.
And not the singer either.
Everything I do it for you.
I was going to say, if that Brian Adams was dead, I don't think anybody would shed too many tears. By the way,
unlike the other Brian Adams, who many tears were shed for.
Yes, Crush led to many tears. Like when you were watching him wrestle, a lot of tears were shed during that point.
Oh my god, he's in the middle of the Doink feud right now. as this is going on. So yeah, a lot of unhappy children for various reasons.
Brah. So I'm not going to play it, but the show ends with a Kevin Sullivan promo. He is going to happily go into the cage with the Heavenly Bodies and Killer Kyle, and then he gets attacked by Nightstalker, and it goes off the air with them fighting.
That is what happens.
Yes. So overall, I thought a darn good episode of Smoky Mountain this week. Building main event matches for not just one, but two big shows coming up. And we'll see what happens here.
Yeah. Quite an enjoyable show. Things are interesting. Things are, we're kind of in a little bit of a transitional period where we're transitioning away from some of the feuds that have been going on, and we're going to be moving into some new feuds. Other than like I don't know how long the Dirty White Boy Tracy Smothers feud is going to go on. I assume for fucking ever, until they eventually end up together. But we got the Rock and Roll Heavenly Bodies feud is coming to a head. People getting ready to. Now, I don't know, but I would hope, knowing as I do how many people are about to leave the territory, I would hope that some more people are about to come in.
Oh, yeah. We have a revolving door of talent, and there are undoubtedly some quality wrestlers on their way into the territory here.
We know Chris Candido is coming. That's a treat.
Yes. And so is Tammy Fytch.
Which is, yeah.
By the way, can you imagine the heat that they would have gotten if the Gangsters would have debuted and like New Jack grabbed Tammy Fytch and stuck his tongue down her throat?
Oh my God. That might have caused a lynching.
And they were pretty close to a lynching without kissing the white woman.
I wanted to make a joke earlier about both of Tammy's body counts being much lower at this point. But
it's a good thing you waited till the end. There may not be as many people listening to it now.
There you go. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep all of my problematic quips for the very end of the show.
Oh boy, you're just gonna have like a list of them to just run them down. Right after I do what else is happening in wrestling, just be like, hey, Tammy Fytch sure was a slut, wasn't she?
It's not. I am very pro slut for a lot of reasons and in a lot of ways. The sluttiness is not the issue. It's the
running over old people.
Well, that too. I don't know. I think she's a pathological liar. I think she habitually and systematically cheated on a man who loved her more than anything and would have done anything for her, and then fucking lied about it after. That's the thing that pissed me off. And I brought this up before. There's a fucking shoot interviews out there where she talks about all the wrestlers that she fucked, but she says that when she was fucking Shawn Michaels or Davey Boy Smith or whoever, that her and Chris were on a break. Like, fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit.
We were on a break. Which is why Kevin Nash told the story about how he had to sit in front of a locker room door while Shawn and Sonny got it on during Chris's matches, just so Chris wouldn't come back and accidentally walk in on them.
So, yeah. I like the character work, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the character work for years to come. And I think she's a very attractive young woman here. But fuck Tammy Sytch for the way she treated Chris Candido, and fuck her for killing that old man.
I would say not in the good way, but everyone else has already had their turn.
Yeah, not in the way that that happened in that one video I saw.
Can't believe you watched that. So what else is happening in the world of wrestling? Because as we always say, I can tell you April 24th, 1993 until I'm blue in the face. But this will help you realize that, hey, other shit is happening in the world of wrestling. And to give you some context, you go, hey, that happened? Yes, it did. And the big thing is that AAA, the Mexican promotion that, we all know, at least know about, whether or not we love it is another story. But this company, which is less than a year old at this point, is expected to draw 50,000 people to the first ever Triple Mania show coming up on April 30th. Triple main event, Conan versus Cien Caras and a loser must retire match where nobody's going to retire. Perro Aguayo versus Mascara Ano 2000 in a hair versus mask match. And Lizmark versus La Parka. And I believe for you WCW fans as Lizmark Sr. That's confused with Lizmark Jr.
What year is the Conan Jake match? Is that 94, 95?
I think it's the end of 93.
Okay.
I think.
So wow, really nobody retires for even I recall who lost that match. And yeah, he didn't even retire to the end of the year.
Nope. Also, New Japan is going to have a show at the Fukuoka Dome on May 3rd with Hulk Hogan versus the Great Muta and Sting versus Scott Norton, which will be the first time Sting and Hulk Hogan will have ever wrestled on the same show.
Let's say it's a pretty good show. You want to hear? Would you like to hear the results of that show?
I mean, I'm sure we'll hear about them next week or the week after. But
the New Japan show we're going to hear about on Smoky Mountain.
Not on Smoky Mountain, but we do this fun segment at the end of every show where I talk about what else is happening this week in the world of wrestling.
Okay, I'll save the Wrestling Dontaku 93 rundown for when we get to it.
Sounds good. And then the moment that I figured you had already known about, but you might want to cover your ears because here's a Don Jardine for you. WCW aired the second Vader versus Cactus Jack match on WCW Saturday Night this week, which had the famous angle where Vader powerbombs Cactus Jack on the concrete floor.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that. I read Mick's book 25 years ago.
Nice. It's a damn good book.
It is. I was very happy in 2014. I went to one of his comedy shows and I got my original first edition with the broken spine and the cover trying to come off. I got it signed.
Nice.
One of my prized possessions.
Did he say anything about the condition of the book?
No, I did point it out. You can tell that's from reading. That's Where from Being Loved.
Yes. Now, by the way, hidden down on page 12 or 13 of the Observer this week was a note about Smoky Mountain Wrestling that in a way gives away the finish of the upcoming Loser Leaves Town match, even though we didn't really know it at the time. Jimmy Backlund from Florida is headed in.
Oh, really? So they had already made that decision.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Sullivan has already told Jim Cornette about, Jimmy Backlund down in Florida. He can do everything. And, yeah. And it helped that he was roughly the same size as Stan Lane, so they're just going to use the same rope, but change the S to a J. Spoiler alert.
Now, very slightly off topic, but he ended up having some kind of problems once they went to the WWF, right? Did he have maybe some drug issues or?
Wasn't there something with him and Tatanka, double teamed a woman?
Oh, I don't know. See, I don't know anything about this. I just remember that because eventually the second version of the bodies are going to go to the WWF, and then after a little while, Tom is teaming with Chris Candido as the Body Donnas. So I knew something happened to Jimmy Del Rey, but I wasn't sure what.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think he does something happens with him and Tatanka and some woman. Let me see here. So August 30th, 1995, reportedly as a preemptive measure for being named in a lawsuit to be filed by a woman stemming from an incident in Anaheim, California. According to sources, the woman was said to have been drugged, sodomized, and had her head shaved on one side. The woman was having drinks with Kevin Nash and Undertaker the night before, and that she had her head half shaven. She was crying, and Nash presumed the person who did this was Jimmy Del Rey because of similar stories of Del Rey. And during representation by Tatanka's attorney, the facts showed that Tatanka was not involved in the incident at all, and Del Rey was fired from the company. Tatanka's suspension was lifted, and he returned with full pay to the active WWF roster. And Nash noted in an interview with Kayfabe Commentaries that he knew that Tatanka was not involved at all, but he had been around Del Rey that night, which caused Tatanka to also be named and unfairly suspended.
Well, that's a very upsetting tale to learn.
Yes.
Alexa, didn't nobody rattle your chain?
I was going to ask, did Sasha come in or something? By the way, 65 down, 135 to go. We are 32.5% of the way through Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
What happens when you add Kurt Angle into the mix?
The odds of us finishing drastically go down.
Drastic go down.
So that I wanted to get it done in 90 minutes, and we got it done in about 75. People are going to think we're sick or something.
Look at us. We got it in time, and we still managed to talk about a bunch of dumb bullshit.
Exactly. So before we go, do you want to say anything to our fine listener out there in podcast land?
Hi, listener. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a nice day. Hope your pant choice complimented your butt shape. Hope you had your favorite meal. Hope you achieve all you want to achieve in life. Our wonderful listener.
You hope their pants choice compliments their butt shape.
Yeah, why not?
That was nice of you.
I'm a very nice man.
Jesus. Oh, right. And so that's going to do it for this show. Hopefully everyone is wearing appropriate pants with their butt shape. But I want to thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.